Hey guys, welcome back. Today we're giving you the first part of our Week 6 fantasy football starts and sits. We're here to help you make all the right decisions on who you should keep in your lineup and who you should take out and who's going to blow it for you this week. Let's start this fantasy football podcast right now.
Hit that drop. Hello and welcome. I am Justin. That is Kyle. This is the Fantasy Football Upside. Thanks for dropping by our Fantasy Football podcast and YouTube channel. We appreciate it. Week 6 is here. Let's go. Hopefully Week 6 actually is played. But today we're giving you the first part of our start-sit questions for Sunday and Monday of Week 6 of this NFL season. We dropped our starts of the week, streamers of the week, and fades of the week yesterday. So check it out via clicking the link where Kyle points or also in the description below. Kyle, what you got for me, sir?
All right, guys, make sure you subscribe, hit that bell. We've gotten a lot of questions lately, getting some good stuff. So make sure that if you want to ask us some start-sit questions, you get those into the comments below. We're always asking. And so we're happy to help, guys. On to Week 6. Here we go. Make sure that you run and check your waiver wire. It is entirely possible that everything has processed by now. So check and see what fell onto your waiver wire this week. And then let's dive in headfirst into the shallow end and get moving here, Justin. Okay.
Let's do it.
All right. So let's see here. The first matchup that we're going to talk about is Houston versus Tennessee. I'll go ahead and take Houston here.
Okay.
I've only got a couple starts, actually. I'm not hot on this one. I don't like this matchup actually all that much. I'm going to start Watson and Fuller. That's it, really. I'm not really looking at David Johnson being all that great. I know Cooks has been okay lately, but my concern is that he's just very, very inconsistent right now. And so I'm just kind of shying away from him. And the tight end group is too hit and miss. I think you can do better at tight end, and I'm not slotting either of those guys into flex unless you're in some sort of like 14 plus team league or, like a 23 roster, bench or something like that, just like crazy numbers or something. I'm not looking at that sort of tight end. So that's kind of where I am. I'm going with Watson. I'm going with Fuller, and everybody else I'm going to sit. I think that it's going to be a rough week for that team, actually. So what do you have on Tennessee?
Yeah, I mean, that was Tennessee put up some pretty good numbers against Buffalo. It was a decent offense, so I see what you mean there. But I have Ryan Tannehill is a nice bye-week QB right there. Efficiency is his game, and he's actually averaging 33 pass attempts so far this season, so which is a little bit more than I thought maybe that they were going to do. So we're getting some good fantasy value out of him. Plus, he's got that little bit of a rushing floor. I don't know if you saw this, he celebrated while he's going into the end zone this last week, and he came down flat-footed.
Oh,
and it almost looked like he tore every freaking ligament in his knees. Let's just not do that anymore.
Yeah.
Let's just not do that. But Derrick Henry, of course, is a start. He didn't really look that explosive, especially with that much time off. But maybe that's what actually hurt him was not having that practice time.
You know what I saw this week? He hasn't had a run over 16 yards this season.
I mean, he did just run over Josh Norman, but that was cool. Of beauty. But that makes a lot of sense. And when you said that, it's like he hasn't had a rush over 16 yards. It makes a lot of sense after what I saw. AJ Brown is a start. Welcome back, AJ Brown. Thank you very much. He had 9 targets, 7 catches, 82 yards, and a tutty. And then I'm also starting Jonnu Smith. He's turning it into a must start now. I mean, tight end is very thin, and he had a 7 target, 5 catch, 40 yards, and 2 touchdowns. You can't really count on 2, but I do like the 7 targets.
How many?
7.
7 miles an hour.
Yep. All right, let's move on here. Our next matchup is Cleveland at Pittsburgh. I'll go ahead and take Cleveland here.
Okay.
I would prefer not to take Cleveland, just kind of my thing. But anyway, I'm starting Kareem Hunt, Odell Beckham Jr., Jarvis Landry, Austin Hooper is kind of, I think that's a dart right there. Just kind of a pull and pray thing. I'm not sure that you're going to get much out of Austin Hooper this week. He has been doing better lately, so that could be okay. I'm not going to go after Dearness Johnson and chase anything there. I think that Kareem Hunt overcomes matchups quite often. That's he's still as dominant as he was when he was in Kansas City, in my opinion. I've thought he's the better running back there for a while. OBJ and Jarvis Landry, I think, are going to be able to get things done. Pittsburgh is a solid defense, but I think that those two are going to be okay crossing the middle of the field a little bit. And so I think that there will be some points there. All right. So what do you got for me here on Pittsburgh?
A lot of variables here for Pittsburgh. And we'll start with the QB. I mean, this is you have a couple teams on bye, so I'd be okay with starting Ben Roethlisberger, but he does need multiple touchdowns to be fantasy relevant. I mean, what quarterback doesn't? But what I mean is he's just very limited athletically, so he's not getting any rushing yards.
Yeah.
But it's also he's not eating up those yards, like passing yards like he used to. It just doesn't look like he has that deep ball anymore. So he's been.
I don't know if that's it, or if it's just that the receivers aren't able to get down the field as efficiently. Like, where's the speed right now? I mean, there is Chase Claypool. He went to him and he kind of blew up. And Claypool is really fast. I mean, he's
4.4 speed for that big. Yeah.
And so other than him, I mean, where's the speed? Right? Juju's not getting down the field. He's kind of looked. He's not looked like his rookie year since his rookie year. And then Deontay's been hurt. He's not a very fast guy either, actually. And James Washington can't get open. He can't run. He doesn't know how to run a clean route, it seems. So,
yeah. No, I get you, man. That's why there's so many different variables right now on this offense. It's like, okay, if Juju does play, I mean, he's missed like every Wednesday practice, and that's the same with Deontay. For Juju, it's been a knee injury. For Deontay, it's been multiple different things. Back injury last week, toe injury. He had a concussion already this year, so there's a lot of variables there. So it's kind of going to be tough, I think. Towards the end of the season or during the season of who's going to be who. But I would start Chase Claypool because I think if he keeps doing what he's doing, he's going to be good. And then Eric Ebron, it's a streaming tight end again. He's getting some targets here. So,
I talked about it, I think, during the waiver episode that really Eric Ebron is going to be touchdown dependent. If you start him, you're hoping he gets a touchdown. And then if he gets a touchdown, he's a tight end one for you. So
absolutely.
Hit the jackpot there.
Absolutely.
All right, let's move on here to Baltimore at Philadelphia. This is an exciting game, right? I think it kind of will be, actually, because I think that Philadelphia is going to get blown up by this defense. But anyway, Lamar Jackson is a start, obviously. He should be less limited in this week's game in the run game. This defensive front isn't the worst, though, so I think that he'll still be kind of held in check a little bit, but I don't think it'll be great or that he'll be torn apart or anything like that. Mark Ingram, I say you could start him in a flex. Marquise Hollywood Brown is a start, and Mark Andrews is a start. This is the battle of the underperforming tight ends, right? I mean, you've got Zach Ertz on one side and Mark Andrews on the other. I mean, nothing's worse than Zach Ertz in the third round that people were drafting him in. And then I think he's not broken 3 points so far. So, there you go. That's all I got on Baltimore. What do you have on Philadelphia?
Philadelphia, you're definitely going to sit Carson Wentz here. We don't really like to talk too many sits, but he's just been a back end QB1 for the last 3 weeks, which is actually an improvement.
Yeah, that's not
from
terrible.
The first couple of games.
Yeah,
but this is definitely a matchup you just want to stay away from. Miles Sanders, you're going to fire him up, of course, just because it's Miles Sanders. You have a lot of draft, capital and put into him, so it's like you're going to start him, but you're going to get a low end running back too against the Ravens, and then you already mentioned him. You mentioned him yesterday during our, episode. You said fade Zach Ertz, and that's basically, it's one of those things where you almost have to start him unless you picked up another tight end or something like that. So it's like if you have him, you have to start him if you don't have anything else. So that's why I put him down as a start. But it's, even since Dallas Goedert went down on IR, everybody thought that, that means, okay, production should increase, target should increase, but it's actually nosedive.
Yeah.
So I just can't explain it. Cannot explain it.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. I really don't.
No,
I'm not sure there. It's a big problem.
Up next we have the Washington football team versus the New York Giants. Who do you have for Washington for me, Kyle?
I will start Kyle Allen in Superflex only, and that's just out of desperation. I think if you're starting him, it could be okay. It's not going to be the worst thing in the world because the Giants aren't the greatest there. But this is not a week you really want to start anybody, in my opinion, on Washington's team. I would start Antonio Gibson and Terry McLaurin, but I wouldn't expect much out of either of them.
Right.
I think that they're both going to be hindered for the most part. I think that there's a big problem with the QB being Kyle Allen, most likely, or Alex Smith, that, McLaurin's not going to get much down the field attention. So what do you have on the Giants?
Devontae Freeman. He's getting volume needed to be fantasy relevant, even on the kind of a terrible Giants team. So I would definitely prefer him in a flex compared to actually starting him in one of my running back slots. So, but other than that, I got Darius Slayton. I mean, he has become the clear-cut number one target in the absence of Sterling Shepard, and Golden Tate just doesn't seem to be getting it done anymore. And then Evan Ingram, once again, tight end, but it's a boomer bust start. So it's just one of those things with the lack of availability out there for tight end position. You're just going to have to fire him up, and you're going to hope he falls into the end zone. Yep.
All right. So here we go. I think this is our last matchup for this episode. We've got Atlanta at Minnesota. This one, it's a battle of underperforming secondaries, I think, for the most part.
That's a nice way of putting it.
Yeah. Here we go. Matt Ryan is a start. Todd Gurley is a start as well. Currently, he's in the middle of his easiest part of his schedule here. Expect to drop after about or in 4 weeks is what I'm guessing.
Okay.
He'll have a big drop. So I think it's time to start thinking about what you're going to try to market him for. You're hoping that he's going to carry through, be healthy and everything. But I think he's one of those guys that he's going to be right up near the trade deadline in your league. Where he's going to fall off that cliff because it gets a lot tougher for him in that second half schedule. So he's going to roll in this one, I think. Julio, he missed practice on Wednesday. So if he's healthy enough to play, you got to still start him, but you better not hope for more than wide receiver 3 out of him. And he could blank you even if you do put him in. So be careful with Julio Jones. It might be time to start trying to sell Julio. Calvin Ridley is an absolute start here. That is a definite one. Russell Gage is a start if Julio does not play. He's a desperate play flex if Julio is playing. And the only other guy that I'm starting is Hayden Hurst. Minnesota's actually not terrible against tight ends, so that's not the greatest matchup, but I would still say he has the potential to turn in a tight end 1 week for you. So that's where I'm at. What do you got in Minnesota?
Kirk Cousins, fire him up. He's a streaming QB against the Falcons. It's pretty much anybody that's going to play against the Falcons in the QB position. I think you can go ahead and fire him up as a streamer, or he already was a must start. So I'm going to start Alexander Madison because I think Dalvin Cook might be out this week. From what it sounds like, he could be out.
Seems like he is. Yeah.
So Madison, fire him up as a top 12 play, man. So he looked pretty damn good against Seattle. We're going to go ahead and start Adam Thielen. Should be a top 12 option as well for the rest of the year. We've mentioned this before. He could lead the league in targets, even though they're in a low volume, volume offense. Justin Jefferson, he's wide receiver 3 with upside, especially in this matchup. It's just, he's not getting as much action as what we would like based off his talent. And then we've mentioned him before in our episode yesterday, Irv Smith Jr., a decent tight end streamer. He's starting to get a couple targets, thankfully. So I think he's starting over Kyle Rudolph, who's just basically a blocker nowadays.
Yep. All right, guys, that's going to do it for this episode. We're going to come back with some more starts and sits tomorrow as well as Saturday. We're going to spread it out over 3 days this week. Because we want to make sure that we are able to provide you the most up-to-date information and make any changes that are necessary on Saturday so that you are aware of what's happening. We've kind of decided that based on what's going on with the league right now, we have to be a little bit more malleable in how we plan things out. And so that's what we're going to do for now, at least. Hopefully that doesn't throw anybody's schedules off or screw with it in any sort of way. I will put on the screen right now our last 2 episodes, the waivers episode, as well as the start, streamers, and fades for week 6. So make sure you run and check those out if you haven't already watched them. We thank you for being a fan of the upside, and we will see you guys next time. Bye.
See you guys.